Hey everybody, this is Mr. Moppin coming at you with another APUSH video. This is our second video on topic 9.4, a changing economy. Last time we talked about the election of Bill Clinton as president and some of the political issues that were defining the first term for the Clinton administration. Now, despite some accomplishments for the Clinton administration, Bill Clinton and the Democrats are going to be facing a major challenge from Republicans in Congress, led by Georgia Congressman Newt Gingrich. Now, Republicans were concerned that the Clinton administration was trying to move America too far left with attempts to try to create universal health care coverage, which failed. But what did pass, though, was the Brady Bill, which attempted to regulate guns. So there was a sense that the government was getting too big, too powerful, too liberal, too corrupt, and not, connected to the people. So what Gingrich is going to be doing is orchestrating a really, really, really bold campaign move on a national level to promote Republicans for Congress on a national level, known as the Contract with America. The Contract with America, as the name kind of implies, is a enumerated list of promises that Republicans would pledge to accomplish if given the opportunity to control Congress. Now, you got to understand, the Republicans had not controlled both houses of Congress in, over 40 years up to this point. So, so keeping that in mind, Gingrich and the Republicans are trying to do something historic, take back full control of Congress, and in so many words, trying to put a check on what the Bill Clinton Democrat White House is trying to accomplish. Now, what's in this contract with America? Well, it involves things like a promise not to raise taxes, in fact, a promise to cut taxes, a promise to shrink federal government authority over the states, a promise to try to get term limits passed for members of Congress, all sorts of things that are going to be viewed as helpful for conservatism, and in line with what Gingrich is trying to get done, and it will be wildly successful. The Contract with America campaign will see Republicans crush the Democrats in the '94 midterm congressional elections, and the Republicans will take back full control of Congress. Now, this is going to have significant ramifications because now, Clinton now has a full enemy with Congress. Gingrich is now going to become Speaker of the House, and you will see the Republicans in Congress go toe-to-toe with Bill Clinton, the Democrat, in the White House. And it's going to be nasty. It will be brutal. We will see a government shutdown take place in late 1995, as basically the White House and Congress were playing chicken in terms of trying to get what they wanted with the budget. And when neither side, gave in, the government ran out of funds temporarily. Now, this will eventually lead to both sides hammering out a budget for '96. But the fallout from that government shutdown and temporary laying off of government workers and things like that, most of that blame is going to fall on Republicans and Newt Gingrich, not so much on the president. But still, though, because of the Republican domination in Congress, Clinton's not going to have too much of a choice but to meet them in the middle on a lot of these issues. And so the idea of, trying to get universal health care is dead. The idea of trying to promote more liberal policies is not going to be feasible. And in fact, one of the additional goals of the Contract with America is to reform and pare down America's welfare programs. And this will lead to a major overhaul of welfare. This is going to be known as the TANF program. And it is going to, force those seeking welfare to do much more to qualify for welfare. You're going to have to prove to be poor. You're going to have to prove that you are actively trying to find a job, things like that. But something else that's going to be significant is that with Republicans demanding, smaller government, Clinton's going to have to meet them in the middle on that. And so we will see federal spending coming down throughout the 1990s. And Clinton's going to be willing to do that to some degree because the economy is roaring. The economy is doing unbelievably well. And so it's going to be easier to go along with cutting spending because not as many people need government assistance in the 1990s. So as we'll see government spending go down, as we will see more incomes rising, and that means more tax revenue for the federal government, we will see the second term for Bill Clinton see something remarkable, especially by modern standards. You know, today we now see $1 trillion plus annual deficits. But from 97 to 2000, we're going to be seeing actual budget surpluses. We're going to be seeing, in that second term for Bill Clinton, a $250 billion surplus. That's how strong the economy is in the late 1990s. This is going to show what happens when you have, you know, relative, especially by, you know, last 40 years, relatively high taxes and far less spending, a fantastic economy. You're going to see that budget surplus emerge. So understand that with, you know, Clinton kind of being forced into the middle on a lot of policies, we're seeing the economy doing really great. This is going to be a very, very good climate for Bill Clinton in his attempt to earn a second term. And in the 96 election, you'll see Bill Clinton on the right here taking on Republican Kansas Senator Bob Dole over here on the left. And, you know, he's ideologically, I would say, somewhere between Nixon and Reagan, you know, conservative, but not a far-right conservative. And so, you know, as Bill Clinton's kind of center-left, Bob Dole a little bit more center-right. But Dole's going to face an uphill climb because if there's anything that motivates people more on Election Day, it's how well the economy's going. Ask Hoover in 32. Ask Carter in 1980. Ask George H.W. Bush just 4 years earlier in 1992. And with a roaring economy, presidents get the most credit for it. Now, is it always fair? No. But, you know, the reality is that if the economy's great, the president gets credit for it. If the economy is terrible, the president is blamed for it. So with the economy doing well, Clinton's going to get that credit, and it's going to allow him to pretty decisively beat Bob Dole. And note, unlike the first time around where Bill Clinton only got 40% of the popular vote, he'll get a clear majority of the popular vote this time around. So this is going to be seen as a mandate from the American people for the most part, as a thumbs up with regards to what the Clinton administration is doing. And so, you know, in many respects, Clinton's got a situation that, you know, you couldn't really ask for it to be, you know, any better in many respects. Think about it. The economy's the best it's ever been. The Cold War is over. We don't know as an American public who the heck Osama bin Laden is. It, in many respects, is a perfect bubble of time for Bill Clinton. And now he's got another 4 years to try to, you know, make an impact. Now, granted, he's still got to work with Republicans in Congress. You know, he can't just snap his fingers and get done what he wants. But you couldn't really ask for a better environment. But just when things couldn't be any better, you will see one of the biggest scandals of the last 50 years emerge. And this scandal is not going to be involving going after political enemies. It's not going to be, you know, breaking, you know, federal law to fund anti-communist regimes in Central America. It will be a good old traditional sex scandal. And it will be involving President Bill Clinton on the left with a 24-year-old intern by the name of Monica Lewinsky pictured on the right. Starting in 1995, when Lewinsky began working as an intern at the White House, they began to have a sexual relationship. And as you can imagine, this would be very problematic. It would be very embarrassing for the president. You can also make a very strong argument that, you know, it is absolutely unethical for an employer to be having that kind of a relationship with an employee, and it doesn't help with the fact that Bill Clinton already had a track record of infidelity, going back even to before he ran for president. So, if this gets out, this is going to be a problem. Add to the mix that in 1997, Bill Clinton was sued by an Arkansas woman, that is going to allege that he had sexually harassed her. So you actually have a woman from Arkansas that is suing the current president of the United States on a sexual harassment claim, and it's getting serious traction. You see a special prosecutor appointed by Congress to investigate the sexual harassment claims, not knowing that the president is actively having an affair with one of his interns. Now, what happens is that the independent investigator, a guy named Kenneth Starr, trying to investigate this sexual harassment claim, is going to be notified by a friend of Ms. Lewinsky that, oh, by the way, my friend Monica is actively having an affair and has for the last 2 years with the President of the United States. Well, as you can imagine, this is going to blow the lid off of Washington, D.C. when this goes public. The president will initially deny having any relationship with Ms. Lewinsky. And as a result of this, we're going to be seeing that the president is going to be subpoenaed to provide what's called a deposition, which is basically an interview where you are under oath required to answer questions from an investigator. So the president is going to be providing testimony. Now, in that deposition, the president is going to be asserting that he did not have a sexual relationship with Ms. Lewinsky. But due to some additional evidence that is going to be found, we're going to be seeing that in fact is not going to be actually true, that there was a sexual relationship associated with that. Now, is it a crime to have a sexual relationship outside of marriage or even with an employee at this time? No, it's not. But what is illegal is lying under oath, and that's called perjury. And since the president in the deposition under oath said he did not have a sexual relationship with Ms. Lewinsky, and it appears that he had, this is going to be seen by Republicans as the president committing a crime. There's also going to be allegations that the president had used his authority as president to try to convince Ms. Lewinsky to not be cooperative in the investigation. That's considered obstruction of justice. And the idea that the president is using his authority to have a sexual relationship with an intern, an employee, is viewed as abuse of power. Now, why do I bring these up specifically? These will be the specific articles that will be the focus of an impeachment proceeding done by the House of Representatives, which, as you recall, is now controlled by the Republicans. The Republicans will move on this and will vote for the second time in our history to impeach the President of the United States on 4 different articles: 2 counts of perjury, a count of obstruction of justice, and a count of abuse of power. Now, note, this is going to be done along strict party lines. Republicans in support of this, Democrats absolutely against it. The American public is actually opposed to the impeachment popularly. Most Americans don't support it. When it gets to the Senate, in that trial, which lasts about 2 months, at the end of that trial in February of '99, down party lines, the president will be acquitted. Remember, you need just a simple majority to get an impeachment, but you need 2/3 for a conviction and removal from office. So Bill Clinton survives. It shows you that if there's a great economy, you can survive a lot of stuff. So, in fact, Bill Clinton's popularity actually goes up during the impeachment, if you could believe that. But it also, in many respects, historians view this as a absolutely wasted opportunity for Clinton in his second term, because most of his second term is going to be surrounding this scandal and the impeachment trial that goes along with it. Okay? We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.